Courtney Fingar, editor of FDI Magazine. I'm reporting in here from Washington, D.C. for the International Monetary Fund World Bank annual meetings. I'm joined here now with the Finance Minister of Colombia, and we'll be checking in with him to find out what accounts for Colombia's big success in attracting greenfield projects in 2010. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. It's a pleasure as always. When we spoke last year, you had quite ambitious plans for continuing strong growth in FDI into Colombia.
Yeah.
Our figures from FDI markets from our annual Global Outlook report suggest that you've had some success in this area. We show 107% increase in greenfield projects into Colombia in 2010. What accounts for this?
Well, thank you very much for having me. First, of course, we have been very successful in attracting more mining and oil exploration and exploitation. Projects in gold, for example, have been very successful recently. And also manufacturing and services sectors, especially investment from Latin America, which has been interesting, from Brazil, from Chile, investments from Europe, and but both manufacturing and mining and exploration, oil exploration, has been probably explained 90% of it.
Okay. Are you interested in trying to diversify that?
Of course. The crucial thing for Latin America in general, but for Colombia in particular, right now is diversifying products, destinies, all types of exports. Fortunately for us, people are interested in Colombia also because it has a big population, 45, 46 million people. That's going towards probably 50 or 60 million people in the next 10, 20 years. It represents an important domestic market,
right,
not only for let's say, commodities. The second thing is that the area that we cover, which is from Florida to Peru, and the Caribbean, also is a 200 million people market. So
right,
people are looking for Bogota and Medellin as hubs for operations that in order to cover a wider market. We have, 5-hour flight is Sao Paulo and 5-hour flight is Mexico City.
right.
But within that range, we have like a comparative advantage in a market of 200 million people, which is very interesting.
Right, and how important are free trade agreements in your ability to really leverage this location? I know it's been quite a painful process, for example, with an agreement with the U.S.
Yeah.
Does this hold you back at all?
What we have said is that monogamy is good in marriage, but not in trade, which is we have been putting a lot of pressure on this FTA deal with the U.S. Apparently will come out in October. There's a big probability that we'll have a success there very, very soon. But we have signed an FTA with Canada, with the European Union. We already have one with Switzerland. We're now negotiating with Korea and with other Asian countries. And in trade, you have to be just open and willing to do business. So with whomever wants to trade with Colombia, we are willing to have free trade. Even with Turkey, we're having now negotiations with Turkey.
Would you be in favor of a free trade area of the Americas?
Yeah, of course. We're asking Brazil to open up their borders. Brazil, the U.S. is an open country for trade. Just the FTA is the one that we are interested in right now. But for example, Brazil has been quite closed to Colombian exports and to exports from other countries. So if we could be able to open up a little bit Brazil and Mercosur, Argentina as well. Those are very interesting markets for us. And we see a change in tide in the view of Brazilians about the Latin American market.
Okay. And how would you characterize the Santos administration's approach to business? And have there been changes from the previous administration with regards to the investment environment?
We are a pro-markets, pro-business administration. We need more jobs for Colombians. We need to reduce poverty, and the crucial issues for that is attracting firms, attracting investment from abroad and from within. We have now very aggressive strategy towards attracting cluster-based industrial parks. We have now tax legislation that is stable, and as President Santos would put it, if he were here with you, when a man is predictable, it's boring. But when a country is predictable, it's attractive. So we want to be a boring, attractive kind of country. And the type of treatment of the FDA in Colombia is world class. So we're now competing with countries from Asia or from Europe, Eastern Europe, in order for them to place operations in Colombia and use Colombia as a platform for exports.
Right. Well, for years, people would have used a lot of words to describe Colombia, and boring was never one of them. But do you think that the country is yet, I know that security's improved quite a lot, but has its reputation moved on from the bad old days?
Amazingly. I tell you the truth, I thought that my generation was not going to see the day when we talk about Colombia without talking about the typical stereotype that we had 10 years ago. Nowadays, when you talk about Colombia, you talk about biodiversity or tourism or oil or coal or the new Brazil. Or when you talk about Colombia, people like open their eyes and want to go there to see what's going on. Previously, the wives of executives said, you cannot fly to Colombia. Nowadays, we see many foreigners in Colombia because their firms or the multinationals are placing them or increasing the operation in Bogota or in Medellin or in Cali or in the Caribbean coast. You go to Cartagena, and now it looks like Hong Kong. It's like so many skyscrapers and
now the wives want to go with them.
And now, exactly, now they want to have some piece of the Caribbean and of the sun. So the change in stereotype has been dramatic, and for us especially, is particularly rewarding because we had lived through the bad times. We have been part of the change of tide, so it's particularly significant.
There have been quite big gains in the cities and in kind of clearing out insurgent activity from the cities. To what extent is it stretching out into the countryside, and is travel around the entire country possible?
Yeah, it's safe. The Uribe administration, which was the previous administration that lasted 8 years, did an amazing job in clearing up, let's say, mainstream Colombia, which is 80% of the country, of threats from the bad guys, so to speak. They were sent back to the jungle, of which there's plenty in Colombia. We remember that we have Amazon, and they are deep in the jungle. So, and we're going after them right there. So they are not in the roads that connect all the main cities, and not in the proximity of any productive sector. They are sent back to their winter camps, and we are going after them right there. So we have been able to get all the big bosses of these mafias, because those are mafias of narco-traffickers. We have extradited hundreds of people per year to the United States, and we still have some homework to do. But let's say from 100% problem 5-10 years ago, we have now probably 20 to 30%. Okay. So that's the size of the reduction.
Okay. And a final question: what are your priorities for the remainder of this year and looking into next year?
We have approved a royalties reform, which is very important. We will be able to invest from the royalties from oil and coal and gold up to $3 billion now, yearly for the next 10 years. Those investments have to go to infrastructure, especially to roads, railroads, ports, because that's the biggest bottleneck we have in Colombia. Once we do that, I think we will be able to develop more strong agricultural sector, so that infrastructure and agriculture go hand in hand with mining and energy, and avoid any threat of, let's say, Dutch disease or natural resource curse. So diversifying and allowing our manufacturing sectors also in the cities to be able to compete. So basically my focus now is the money is there, which previously it wasn't. So the money is there, so use the money wisely, build up the roads, build up the ports. They are there, but the quality is not good. So improve that so that we have not 2 or 3 year horizon, but 10-year horizon of good economic development, growth, and creation of a middle class.
Okay, thank you. The cover story of the latest FDI magazine is all about agriculture investment, so we'll send you away with that.
Yeah, I know. I see.
On the plane.
I see this, and that's actually our future, because of course we have oil and coal and gold and gas, etc. But this is more labor intensive, and the world will demand energy and food, and we have energy and food.
Very good. Thank you again for your time.
No, thank you very much for having me.